this is why body image is such a crucial part of supporting consistent and goal-aligned eating or exercise and health-related behaviors, right? Because how we feel about ourselves influences the way we eat and how we show up for ourselves. And
Yes.
that's why fostering a positive body image is so key to supporting sustainable fat loss.
Mhm.
And I don't believe the two are like mutually exclusive, but you cannot have sustainable fat loss without fostering acceptance and respect for your body.
Welcome to Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, the world's #1 no bullshit health and fitness podcast.
Are you ready to cut the crap with your diet and exercise, get strong as fuck, and build a healthy relationship with food? Then you've come to the right place.
Let's go. If you'd like to support us in the podcast, join our Patreon where you get exclusive content, which consists of monthly workouts you can do at home or at the gym, monthly challenges that are either strength, habit, or mindset based, and access to over 100 plus low-calorie, high-protein, family-friendly meals. These are all designed by a professional chef who is certified in nutrition. These recipes are already in MyFitnessPal for easy fucking tracking. New recipes are also added each week.
We believe that fitness is for everyone, so this is our way of getting you started on your health and fitness journey at a price most everyone can afford. So what the fuck are you waiting for? We'll see you in the Patreon.
Annie!
Hi.
Hello. Welcome back.
Yes.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like we just talked. I mean, we kind of did just a few short weeks ago.
I know,
Uh,
right?
So how's everything been going with you, Annie? What's new?
Yeah, not too bad. It's like just about getting to summer here, which is like so welcomed.
And where is here for you again?
I'm like the middle of England.
Middle
Okay.
of England. Got it. So when we were on when we chatted a few weeks ago, we were chatting all about, we
Menopause.
titled the episode, the menopause mindset. And what was really interesting to us and intriguing to us was like, talking about the behavior part of
Mm-hmm.
behavior change part of menopause. So that's why I think we're back here today, because we had such a good time chatting with you the first time. And I know the episode was very helpful for our listeners.
Yeah,
So
I got a lot of positive feedback.
we did.
Did you get some positive feedback in your DMs, Annie?
I did actually. Yeah, I had some really good conversations off the back of that, like some really eye-opening things. So one thing I was hearing a lot was, I think what really resonated for a lot of women was this idea that it's not all downhill from here. It's not this like inevitability. They can take the power back. They have control in this situation, where on social media it's painted out like there's so much, like we spoke about last time, so much fear mongering around menopause, so much misinformation that makes you feel like it's completely out of your control. There's nothing that you can possibly do. And that was one thing that I was receiving a lot of
Yeah.
feedback on. Mhm.
It's so tragic too to put that mindset out there for women that are already struggling. It's like, yep, and you're broken, you're fucked. It's like, you know what I mean? So you start really thinking that you are when you have more control than you actually think you do. But, so you kind of like have this mindset of like, I might as well just give up.
Completely. Yeah. Completely. So, like, yeah, just so much misinformation. And I know we picked up a lot on like the relationship with food
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it last time, and kind of the food side of things and the rules and the you shouldn't be eating this and you shouldn't be eating that and don't do this and don't do that. But we spoke, I guess, less about the impact that has on, or the impact that even menopause and then the fear mongering and the misinformation and the diet culture ravaging has on someone's body image. And
Yes.
this is like the other component
Mm-hmm.
of behavior change, which I think is really important. So it's not just how you, I guess, feel about food, but also how you feel about your body and how you feel in and about that as well. And that can really change when it comes to menopause. There's a lot of things going on with someone's body image. And I think also a lot of people don't even know what body image is, because I think it's not so much spoken about as much, or the concept is quite new. I think some people think body image is just, oh, it's just the way my body looks, right?
Right.
But actually, your body image is the perception that you have of your body. And then the thoughts, the feelings, and behaviors that arise from that perception. And that can change a lot in menopause as well, because there's so much going on. Like, there's the physical changes that are happening. So weight gain, potentially. And that's where like having an understanding of this. So if you haven't listened already, like go back to, was it episode 136?
Yep.
The menopause mindset one, because that I think we spoke a lot about this understanding of what's driving weight gain. Because when we don't really understand what's going on behind our changing body, that can impact sort of body image even further. But then you've got, I guess, the abdominal fat. So you've got that redistribution of body fat towards your midsection. And that can be really triggering for your thoughts and attitude about your body, because for our entire lives, we've been told to have a flat stomach. The abs are like the key to health and all of this stuff. And a lot of women also might have always had kind of like a toned area, and then menopause comes and that completely changes for them.
Yeah.
But there's also like skin changes, hair changes, bloating, so there's loads of things going on. And not only that, but mood, sleep, fatigue, anxiety, depression, that will have an influence on the perception about your body.
Yes.
I do think it's important. Like, I would love to talk about body image for a little bit, because that's, like you said, that perception of yourself. Like, our perception is our reality in a way too. And I think it's especially important for us to talk about this right now because it's May, and May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month here in the States. I don't know if that's worldwide or if it's United States, but it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and body image, of course, has an impact on our mental health, and which then, of course, impacts our physical health. And that's one of those things, like body image, and that can impact your relationship with food. That can create these restrictive mindsets with food and no longer nourishing our body and giving it what we need. And then also, because we don't have a good body image, we're not only are we neglecting our body, I should say not only are women neglecting their body going through this, but then they're neglecting their body with exercise too, like by punishing their body with exercise to burn more calories, to burn off that stubborn belly fat that all of a sudden just feels like it appeared out of nowhere. And it absolutely has a negative impact on everybody's mental health when you have that sort of a relationship. So yeah, with body image, I guess, what are some ways that we could work on, women and men too, because I know men are going to be listening to this, but for women, especially going through menopause, because that's really what the focus of this is how can they start to begin healing that body image?
Yeah. And I think that's where the most important thing is that shift in perspective around body image. And when we're unhappy with the way that we look, we're dissatisfied with the way that we look, the default is always to change your body, to lose weight, to restrict, to diet down, to fit the size that we were before, to get the surgery, or indeed like even to like hide or cover up or conceal, because we've been conditioned to believe that our body is the problem, not the perception that we have of our body because of societal standards and beauty ideals and the messaging that we've received all our lives. But perception can change, right? So it's important to recognize, because I think a lot of women don't, that your perception can change. And this is a bit of a West example, but I was thinking about this yesterday. Those optical illusions, right? So where one person sees two bald heads facing one another, and then another person sees a candlestick. And then you've got the other one, like the dude playing the saxophone, and then another person sees a woman's, like an old woman. And that just goes to show that, and then you talk about it, and then you see the other thing that the other person is seeing. And so it's so important to recognize that your perception can change. And it's the same when it comes to your body. And think about how, I guess, differently you perceive perhaps your own body in contrast to how you perceive other people's, even if they might be in a similar body to you. So I speak about clients of this a lot, but they might see the woman across the pool from them, right, who seems to be in exactly the same body as them, looks really similar, and you're not there critiquing her body like you do yours. Your perception of your body is different. Or your best friend who criticizes her body constantly, but you couldn't conjure a critical thought about her body if you tried. So it's different perceptions about the same body. And yet we never question the perception when it comes to our own bodies. We question the body or the weight. Or perhaps, as well, your perception of your body changes from one day or 1 week to the next. So one day you're feeling quite positive, or at least neutral about your body. And another day you're beating the shit out of yourself. Like you're beating yourself up, you're calling yourself disgusting, you feel fat. And it's likely that your body or your body fat levels haven't really changed much overnight.
Right.
It's kind of like when you're going out on an amazing evening, you're dressed beautifully, you feel so good, you're like, I look amazing. Then you look back, someone shows you a picture and you're like, I can't fucking believe I left the house like that. Look at my arms. Look at this. But in that moment, you felt amazing. You felt beautiful. Then you had this delusional perception of yourself once you saw yourself in a photo.
Hmm. And isn't honestly the amount that it robs from you as well? Like I often think about how many memories I've erased from my camera roll from
Yeah.
back when I had a really poor body image and relationship with my
Mm-hmm.
body. And I just thought I hated my body. I really did. And
Yeah.
I just used to delete them all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember we spent like 4 or 5 weeks in the States, and it was the best time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated my body in every single photo. And so I went through every night and I delete them. And now I'm that sat here, like, and I don't do that anymore. But there might be a couple that were left, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
look back now and I think, gosh, I
I
just,
wish I had those photos.
yeah. And I think completely differently now when I look
Yeah.
back at photos. And it's just wild how much it can actually rob from you, like this negative perception and this negative body
Mm,
image.
yeah.
And it's important to recognize as well that your perception of your body, so that, that place where one day it's good and then the next day we're beating ourselves up, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
also influenced by your mood, your stress levels, your fatigue, maybe what you did that day. So if you've been in an argument with your partner and then you take it out on your body, or like what you eat as well. So this is where like
Mm-hmm.
the relationship with food thing comes in, because if you're, if you have that language around food, that whole dichotomy thing where good food, bad food,
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be eating this, blah, blah, blah. You're holding like loads of rules around food. If you eat, say, a cookie that you deem as bad, but if you were to eat, like, say, an equivalent amount of something else that you deemed good
Mm-hmm.
in calories, right? You might feel fat after eating that cookie because
Mm.
of the perception you have of that cookie and what it's going to do to your body
Yeah.
versus what you believe this good, quote unquote, or healthy salad is going to do. So even what you eat can like influence your perception
Yeah.
of your body in that moment. And that's probably one of the most important things that you can recognize and realize
Yeah.
is that it's not always your body, it's your
Right.
perception about your body.
Mm.
You guys might have experienced this before, but one of my clients might be in a body that another client is like, it's their dream body, but both carry the same level of hate and self-criticism, but they're in like, one's in the body that the other person desires, but the self-criticism is exactly the same,
Wow.
and the level of hate. And it's one of the most important things to remember about your relationship with your body is that you can change your body without changing how you feel about your body. And therefore, you can change how you feel about your body without changing your body as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's like body positivity in a way. And I think would you agree with that? What you're saying aligns with kind of like, so I guess in my opinion, what I'm hearing is body positivity or body neutrality would
Yeah.
probably be the better
Mm-hmm.
word. Body,
Yeah. Yeah.
body positivity, I think, is the way it is done today. It's done horribly incorrect, but body neutrality
Right.
I think, is a lot better term to put that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I prefer the term body neutrality because I think
Yeah.
as well, it's way more accessible for people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, one of the pieces of advice I would give is stop trying to love your body. Stop
Mm-hmm.
trying to love everything about it. And it's
You're not
cool,
going
like,
to.
yeah, I'm like, cool if you genuinely do, like, go for it. But practice body neutrality. And that's like accepting, appreciating both like the positives and the negatives without like turning on yourself all of the time.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of clients in marginalized bodies, right, who have been bullied or stigmatized their whole life, or clients who've been in the pits with their body image since a pretty young age. And the idea of loving everything about yourself or being super, super positive about your body can feel wildly inaccessible to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so practicing in that moment, body acceptance, body neutrality, or even respect for your body offers that bridge that's going to support long-term behavior change and long-term success with their goals. And it's more like being at peace with it.
Mhm.
And this is so much easier said than done, which is why like having support with this is so helpful. But it might look like respect for your body might look like choosing to go to the gym because you'll feel better and it'll lift your mood, not purely necessarily because you want to change your body.
As a parent, our days are filled with joy, challenges, and countless memories of connection. And let's be real here, more often than not, chaos can feel downright unavoidable. And in those moments, maintaining our peace and well being are absolutely crucial. And you should know by now that I love talking about all things mindfulness. So this message is for all you mindful parents out there seeking a natural path to tranquility and presence. Cured Nutrition understands the unique stressors we face every day. Whether it's waking up early to take the kids to school or playing taxi as you shuttle everyone from practice to practice, let's not forget that you still have your daily responsibilities with your own career. That's why they created their Serenity Gummies, your go-to ally in managing the complexities of parenthood with ease. These gummies aren't just a treat. They're a blend of science-backed, health-supporting ingredients like full-spectrum cannabinoids, ashwagandha, reishi mushroom, and L-theanine. Each ingredient is chosen for its ability to support your physical, mental, and emotional sense of calm. Now imagine unwinding from the day's hustle with a natural alternative to alcohol, helping you to improve your presence, mindfulness, and overall well-being. Now, oftentimes we turn to alcohol as a way to alleviate stress, but take it from someone that has a long look at his relationship with alcohol. That really only makes things worse. The Serenity Gummies offer a more holistic tool to have in your arsenal so that you can feel good about feeling good. I personally enjoy the passion fruit flavor. It's sweet with some kind of an earthy undertone. I'm no expert when it comes to tasting things. I just know what works for me, what tastes good. In addition to that, each gummy is precisely dosed to guide me to my happy place. Now, Cured Nutrition is offering an exclusive 20% off discount just for our listeners when you purchase Serenity Gummies. Visit www.curednutrition.com/CTC and use coupon code CTC at checkout. That's CURED nutrition.com/CTC, coupon code CTC to embrace a state of relaxation and balance. Remember, protecting your peace is just one gummy away. Now take a moment for yourself and find serenity in the midst of life's whirlwind moments. Because you, as a parent, deserve to support your well-being and do something for yourself so you can continue serving others like the badass that you are. Protect your peace and pop a gummy.
And it's more like focusing as well on what your body allows you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in a performance aspect, like that's one aspect of it, but also just living your life. Like, how does it allow you to do the things that most light you up in life? Like, it just goes so much further than how we look, and we're so caught up in how we look that we forget about what our bodies can actually do, obviously for obvious reasons, because of societal messaging and the culture that we grew up in, and all of this. And I think we spoke about this, or like we had a brief interaction, Beth, about like aesthetic goals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I think it's important to recognize that you can accept your body and not love it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can accept your body and also put steps in place to change it.
Yeah.
And it's completely okay for you to care about how your body looks.
Right.
And you can have body composition goals.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of people feel like confused, or like you shouldn't have these goals or care about how you look or want to change your body composition. And you should just love your body as it is, move on with your life, because that can create a lot of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's that whole, you shouldn't have a goal like that. You shouldn't care about how you look.
That's where I think the body positivity movement has gone wrong.
Right,
I think it's
right.
horribly. I think it started off with good intentions, but then just with influencers and social media,
Yeah.
it went the wrong way pretty deeply. But
Mhm.
yeah, I love that. It's okay to you can love your body, still want to change your body. Like that's an
Mhm.
important message for people to take home. It really is.
Yeah.
And the bigger message behind that is like, where does hating your body get you? Like
Right.
people have been dissatisfied and hating their body for so long, and like that hasn't worked up to this point. So
Yeah.
like what are we hoping to accomplish by continuing to punish our bodies?
I think for me, my body hatred came from destroying my body. Like alcohol, like doing all these crazy diets, like it was like self-hatred towards my body. But once I started doing things that actually nourished myself and made me stronger, that's when my body image started to change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
that.
And that's where that respect aspect comes in
Yeah. Yep.
massively, because it
Yeah.
is, at the end of the day, it is kind of disrespect to put your
Mhm.
body through that. And I think people don't buy into this a lot. We've been in diet culture so long, we've been bombarded with messaging like, be your best self and lose weight, or
Right.
want to feel ready for summer, you need to do this diet, and you need to
Right.
lose weight, and you need to start this shred, as
It's
if
funny because those
you're
things
not.
usually make people not feel very good.
Yeah,
Right,
and you're like,
right.
well, does that mean I'm in a body now, like that isn't ready for summer? Like all this, and there's so much weight stigma in society, and we think, how could it possibly be the case that we can change our bodies and not change the way we feel, or vice versa? But it's really, really important to recognize so that you don't stay caught up in that cycle anymore, where you
Yeah.
either spend your life at war with food in your body, or always trying to chase that feeling, or you stay stuck in a rut or a yo-yo with exercise or eating your motivation because you're
Hmm.
always trying to change from a place of
Yeah.
punishment and shame and hate. And I always say, like, your eating and exercise habits are often a behavioral expression of your body image.
Mm,
And this is why body image is such a crucial part of supporting consistent and goal aligned eating or exercise and health related behaviors, right? Because how we feel about ourselves influences the way we eat and how we show up for ourselves. And
yes.
that's why fostering a positive body image is so key to supporting sustainable fat loss.
Hmm.
And I don't believe the two are like mutually exclusive, but you cannot have sustainable fat loss without fostering acceptance and respect for your body.
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
Hmm.
absolutely.
So important.
Without developing that better relationship with it. And that's the thing, like,
Mhm.
I'm not anti-fat loss or
Yeah.
anti-aesthetic goals. I support, like, literally most of the clients that I do support are fat loss. But if you want to sustain those results, so you don't have to keep returning again and
Hmm.
again to calorie counting every single few months, like back at Slimming World,
Hmm.
back at Weight Watchers,
Yeah.
doing your 100th
Yeah.
diet program or weight loss challenge or whatever it is, then forming a better relationship with your body first or alongside is so key. Because
So
I,
key.
and it's like, if, let's say, like an example, right? You step on the scale and the number is higher than you expected, or you woke up that day, started berating yourself in the mirror, calling yourself fat. You think, I can't seem to get anything right. Nothing I do is working. You end up feeling really ashamed, frustrated, angry,
Hmm.
and you spiral often one of two ways. You either think, sod this, then you reach for comfort food. Like, what's the point? Or you restrict, skip a meal. I don't know, tell your partner that you're not having dinner tonight. And that will eventually lead to overeating. Or you disengage from like healthful actions down the line. So you're constantly in this like back and forth because you're coming from this place of punishment and hating yourself, and you're not accepting of your body and where you're at. It's never going to get you to the place you want to get.
Right.
And it also, I think, and this I think what you said, Beth, like, it leaves you open or vulnerable to restrictive or extreme methods that aren't sustainable,
Hmm.
to fads, because you want that quick result. You just want to get out of this place.
Right. That feeling, you're like, get me out of here. Yeah.
You want to fix your body like now. It needs to
Hmm.
happen now. But then also you have behaviors like over restriction, overeating, comfort eating, self-sabotage is more likely, self-criticism.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it,
Everybody listening right now, I can almost guarantee everybody listening right now knows how to lose weight, right?
Hmm.
But it's
Right.
that sustainability factor that they're missing because
Yeah.
of all these things that we're discussing right now. The
Hmm.
behaviors, the mindset is so fucking important when it comes to
Yeah.
sustainable weight loss. And we'll continue to say this until we're rolling over in the grave,
Right.
I guess.
And
yeah,
this stuff takes time, and I don't under people don't understand that you're not going to heal your relationship with food or your body image overnight. It's going to take some work.
completely that. And I honestly think, like, it's the same. Expectations trip people up when it comes to weight loss, but expectations trip people up massively when it comes to relationship with food and body image work as
Yeah.
well. And if you put a timeline on that work, like, you are really
Hmm.
doing yourself a
Takes
disservice.
as
Yeah.
long as it takes.
It takes
Yep.
as long as it takes. Stop comparing yourself to
Hmm.
that person or that transformation or that win that's being shared there, because you have no idea about where that person is,
Right.
where their starting point is, what their relationship with food and body is actually like, how long they've been
Hmm.
working with someone. You can really do yourself a disservice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's talk about the comparison syndrome when it comes to, maybe even women and menopausal women looking at other menopausal women like, oh, they must be on HRT or they must be doing this, or, people holding themselves back by continuously. And this happens a lot in my comment section in my DMs, a lot more than it used to, about people comparing someone to that is on weight loss medication and them feeling defeated. So I'd love to get into like the comparison and how do we stop doing that?
Oh, and that onto that, or even comparing yourself to yourself from 20 or 30
Right.
years ago.
Yes.
Like,
That's a good one, that
Mm.
too.
especially in
Yeah.
women
That
going
is a
through
good one.
menopause, like, I just want to
Yes.
be the same size or weight that I was 20, 30 years ago. You're like, oh,
17
before,
years old self.
right, before 3 or 4 kids and 3 career changes and life happening,
Right.
like,
Hmm.
And an adult body.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think recognizing that that's a behavior. Like you're choosing to engage in comparison, whether
Hmm.
you kind of know it or not. You're choosing to flick through your camera roll and look at that past body and
Mm.
beat yourself up and berate yourself. Like, I think just genuinely ask yourself, is that serving you? Like, is that moving you forward? And I think it's this thing again, like, we think it's motivating us, but it's making us feel like shit. And what we've just been speaking about for like the last 25 minutes is you need to be changing from a place of respect for yourself and acceptance and kindness, and self-compassion is so important for consistency with behavior change. And how, like, genuinely, how do you feel when you compare to a past body of yours? Genuinely, does that motivate you? Because I highly doubt for most people it is. It's triggering perhaps, negative feelings about your current body. It's moving you further away from that place of acceptance for where you're at now. It's probably likely impacting your mood, leading to feelings of shame, which we know are not supportive of like healthful eating behaviors or supportive eating behaviors. And so genuinely asking yourself, is this behavior moving me in the direction that I want to go? Or is it making me feel like crap? And same thing with social media and comparing to other people. And again, I know this is easier said than done. Like I work with a lot of people with disordered eating and body image disturbances who it's really difficult for them to not compare. Like they've been in that behavior and that habit loop for so long. And this is where we kind of delve into that. What purpose is that behavior serving for you? You know, why are you comparing yourself to that person? What,
Hmm.
because it probably does serve a benefit for you in some way, and maybe you don't realize it. But when we're talking about, the negative side of comparison and the negative impact of behaviors and how it's stopping us getting from like where we want to get to, we rarely look at the benefit, because most behaviors are serving a purpose for you, whether you realize it or not, and they have a benefit for you. And so, like, going back to that, you might feel like you are a little bit motivated when you compare and whatever, but in the long term, is that serving you?
Mhm.
Or maybe in the past, you've compared before and you've come out on top at some point, maybe in your
Your
life.
brain's like, hey, that works.
And you concluded that, well, that worked in that scenario.
Hmm.
But in the 500 million other scenarios, it didn't. It made you feel like crap. But you're constantly looking for that next time when you do come out on top or when it does make you feel good. That's another one. But even like putting a barrier in place, if you're finding it genuinely difficult to stop the comparison, well, A, that's a sign of a negative body image. So working on your overall body image is helpful. But B, put a physical boundary in place. Put something in place that reduces that. So whether that is deleting the photos from when you did that transformation challenge at that gym and you got super lean, even though you felt absolutely miserable. Like this happens a lot. I have women come to me who, started cascading into an overeating cycle after they'd done like a transformation at their local gym or whatever. And now they've got these photos from their photo shoot where they were really lean,
Yeah.
but now they're overeating. And so they're
Right.
comparing themselves to this past body, the smallest they looked. And it's just sending them into this cascade of shame and then leading to emotional eating,
Eating
etc.
covered
So
with shame.
put a barrier in place. Like,
Yeah.
why do you still have them on your phone? Take them off. And then the same thing with social media. Limit your exposure to
Hmm.
social media. Why is your feed full of women in fit, like lean bodies?
Right.
the diversity, because again, you then have such a narrow vision and you're exposing yourself to this comparison over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So put a physical barrier in place as well before you kind of, if you're finding like the mental body image aspect of comparison hard to kind of break down, start putting those boundaries in place with yourself. Again, out of respect for yourself and out of what's going to support you with long-term behavior change and move in the direction that you actually want to go. Because it's perfectly fine for you to have that goal and to want to change your body. That's fine. But if you're constantly going into this negative headspace because you're engaging in behaviors like comparison, then that is something to be really mindful of.
Yep. And that's what I try to talk to my followers about too, because every time I do like Q&As, right, they'll be like, what is your height? How much do you weigh? What are your calories, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, this is not going to serve you knowing my information. And I used to be that person. I used to be that person that would be like, I wonder how much she's eating. I wonder how tall she is. And here I am focusing on them and totally ignoring my own self. It's like those behaviors are not going to serve you because we are all different. And I just want everyone to realize that we are, in fact, all different. What I do is going to be completely different than what you do.
Completely that. Yeah. What did you say the other day? Like, where you water grows, or something? What was it?
The grass only grows where you water it. So water your own fucking grass. And I'm like, someone on the other side of the street might have a grass full of dog shit, but you wouldn't know unless he went over there and stepped in it. So quit comparing, you know?
Do you know what's a really good point as well is, a lot of women come to me and they compare themselves to the leaner people or the smaller people, the smaller bodies that they see in the street.
Right.
You can genuinely not tell anything about someone's behaviors, someone's mental health, or their health in general based on how their body looks.
Exactly.
And you're comparing to this person who might have disordered eating, who might be heavily preoccupied with food and their body in order to stay that size. And you're just like, I want their life. It looks so much easier for them. And you're going into that like comparison place, but you don't know anything about them.
Right.
But you're just basing everything off of how their body looks and what they look like.
Your perception.
It's like, your perception. Yeah. Funny that. But it's really not how I was going to say something. And I can't remember what it was.
Well, I think while you think of that, when it comes to the comparison, especially with comparing ourselves to our past selves, what I've seen is like clients or followers, whoever wants to be a certain way because that's what they were in the past. And they only remember the positive of being that way, right? The way they looked. That's all they don't remember their own mental health in 20 years ago. They don't remember how they were feeling to get to that point 20 or 30 years ago. It's like that. They're just looking at the positives and they don't remember any of the bad shit and hard shit and unpleasant shit and all the bad behaviors that formed as a result of them getting to that point in the fucking first place. And then that sets them up for disaster because they do sometimes reach that goal weight or that goal look and they're still not happy. It's like, oh, well, what now? Right. So then they're sad and depressed. Then they start eating because they're not happy or they start restricting more. And and it's like, it's a cycle. It's a perpetual cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. That whole idea of, you can change your body without changing the way that you feel about your body, right? And that is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Because regardless of where your body goes, your perception comes with it. And if that's not changing, then you're going to get to that lower body weight, that smaller body, that leaner body, whatever, and the perception is still going to be there.
Yeah.
And it's similar to that, I'll be happy when I weigh 60 kilos or whatever.
Like, no,
and
you
it's
won't.
like, but it's so hard for people to believe, right? But you will move the goalpost. Like,
yes, exactly.
You'll move the goalpost.
Beth and I talked about this briefly last week on our 101 episode about with Ozempic, and there's some more research coming out with Ozempic, where with people that are losing a substantial amount of weight, it's coming with some depression for people because of that. What we're talking about right now. and suicidal thoughts even,
They
because
call
they're
it Ozempic mind or
Ozempic.
something. I took a screenshot. I saw it on the news, and they had it. Ozempic personality is what they called
Ozempic
it.
personality is what it is. It's like an identity crisis still, especially
Mm.
because if they're not addressing, you're not addressing these behaviors and your body image, it's like, who is this person? Or you lose a bunch of weight and you're still identifying as that person in that larger body because you haven't done any of
The
the work up
mindset
here.
work.
Yeah, and maybe your environment still looks the same.
Mhm.
I wonder whether as well there's like a fear of weight gain at that point when you lose that much weight. There's then like an inherent fear that comes with not wanting to go back to that place, and that is contributing. That's super interesting. But it's
Mhm.
like, getting to a body composition that you feel more comfortable in can genuinely help with feelings of confidence, but it's
Yeah.
not the whole picture. It's never the whole picture. It's likely also not just your body that's changed. It's how when you lose weight, when you get leaner, when you increase your muscle mass, whatever, it's you're showing up for yourself. You change your behaviors. You're making choices that make you feel better. Your health might have improved, your energy levels, your mood. You've given yourself evidence that you are worth the habits and the effort
Right.
that it took to kind of improve that. And that's improved your self-worth. And you achieved a goal that you set out to achieve, which makes you feel good. But this idea of I'll be happy when I weigh 60 kilos, or I'll be happy when I lose this belly fat, or I'll be happy when I look like I did in that photo on your wedding day when it was also the happiest day of your life and you weren't as stressed as you are now, and you didn't have the same stuff going on, and you were taking more time for yourself as well. I think that's a really important one. And your
Mhm.
behaviors were different. It just doesn't work like that. And I
Right.
remember having a conversation actually with someone really dear to me, and she was showing me old holiday pictures from 10 years before. So this was 10 years before she hit menopause, before some very significant and sad events in her life that contributed to, changing body composition and weight gain. And she was saying, oh my God, look how small I was then in this bikini. Look at my body back then. And then she stopped and then thought for a minute. And I was like, what's she thinking? And she went, oh my God, I hated myself then as well. I
Mhm.
hated my body. She was like, I was not happy then at all. Isn't that funny? And I was like, isn't that funny?
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Right.
And then they get to that point and it's like, okay, just 5 more pounds. Just this last
Right.
5 pounds. Just this last 10 pounds. Um,
Yeah.
You said something in our first conversation, and I know a lot of our listeners really enjoyed this line. It was seek your validation with your behaviors and not the scale. Right. And I really love that line. And there's something else that you were just saying that reminded me of a quote I saw. I posted on my story the other day from Dan Coe. I don't know if you guys follow Dan Coe or
Oh,
not.
he sounds really familiar.
He's a phenomenal person to follow on Instagram. It's just the Dan Coe. He's a writer.
Okay.
But one of his posts was self-confidence comes from doing what you think is uncomfortable over and over again and realizing it wasn't that bad in the first place. So it's like you're talking pretty much along those same lines right there. It's like we need to build our confidence, and you build confidence in yourself by honoring your commitments to yourself and proving to yourself that you can do these things.
Yeah. And do you know what's interesting with that is what I see a lot of in the women that I work with, and this idea that this whole I'll be happy when, and why they want to lose the weight. It's because sometimes what they'll say is, oh, when I've lost this weight, I'm going to go for that job. Or when I've lost this weight, I'm going to start dating again. Or when I've
Right.
lost this weight, I'm going to meet up with my friends because at the minute I'm really embarrassed if they were to see me and how much my body has changed and all of this, right? So
Yeah.
you put your life on hold
Yep.
until you lose the weight. And that's just not ideal for 2 reasons, because let's say, for example, you gained weight in perimenopause because you were emotionally eating or regularly overeating or occasionally binging. But now you say, I'll start going out when I've lost the weight, or I'll wear clothes that make me feel good when I've lost 10 pounds, or I'll eat the foods that bring me joy once I've got back to that weight, or start going to the gym or whatever. Create a very difficult cycle because you're not honoring your needs now for connection, for joy. You end up feeling more lonely or bored or
Yeah.
uncomfortable in your
I like
body and the
that.
clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not giving yourself healthful outlets for emotions because you're not meeting up with people. You're not making time for friends because you're so scared of their judgments on you. And so you're suppressing your emotions now, which leads to more emotional eating or overeating cycles. And then the second thing would be, it usually means you're following a strict plan or diet and restricting foods, or keeping yourself away from certain food environments, or keeping foods out of the house, whatever, out of fear of overeating on.
You're not learning how to actually live life at that. Like, you need to learn how to navigate life while you're doing the damn thing. So it's like,
You're not.
you need to practice the after now. Like, we need to be practicing maintenance and the after the diet now. Otherwise, it is just another diet, and it is just another short-term stop in I don't know, insanity, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not learning and you're not living.
Yeah.
You're doing neither.
Completely.
L-I-V-I-N.
L-I-V-I-N. That's, what is that, Matthew McConaughey?
All right.
All right. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And it's that idea as well of, I think I would just say, start thinking about where you are putting your life on hold, where you can start saying yes to things now, because you're at the minute waiting for the confidence to come when you lose the weight.
Yeah.
Because as well, and that's a perfectly valid thing to genuinely think, because you've been conditioned to think that. Because all you've ever been told, and the messaging that you've always been subject to from diet culture is, so and so confident now that she weighs, like, she's lost 130 pounds.
Oh, I hate those friggin'.
It's like, the commercials are selling confidence. Be confident when X amount of weight comes off your body. It's like literally flashing in before everyone's eyes all the time.
Yeah, it's like confidence has become conditional. Like, whereas it is going back to that thing, like, confidence is doing the thing that you are scared to do, and then recognizing that you're going to be okay, and building the evidence with yourself. And this is one thing I do with clients is I get them to say, okay, well, where are you kind of putting your life on hold? Or if they say something to me like, I don't want to reach out to that friend or see that friend, or my friend said she's coming to town, but I've put on so much weight, I feel XYZ, I think, or like she's going to judge me, then that's something that we will work through, so that actually they go to that event, they stop putting their life on hold, they stop rejecting their own needs for connection and friendship and, all of that. And then we're using that to build the evidence that they can do it. And actually their friend didn't say shit. And actually their friend had also put on weight and was feeling the exact same thing. And like they can share in that kind of common humanity aspect as well.
That.
And have, leave with more compassion for themselves. And then that gives them a mood boost. And then they're then more likely to keep engaging with helpful behaviors because they're in a better place now, because their needs have been met. And that's so important to kind of like start thinking about now, like, where can you say yes to things despite not being quite where you want to be yet? Like, can you buy comfortable clothes that do fit you now, so that you can feel comfortable in your body rather than constantly restricted? And then, because that impacts the perception that you have on your body as well, the clothes that you're wearing.
Right. If you're wearing clothes that you feel good in, that's going to promote more health promoting behaviors.
Right. As you're trying to put on some clothes that don't fit you, and then you're going to go into a downward spiral.
Like, oh my God, I feel so fat. This
now I got to restrict. Now
I've got to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole idea that we've been sold that, we're supposed to fit the clothes rather than the other way around.
Fit the dress. I get that for the wedding, right? Like, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole there, but it's more that same mentality. You can do that for any situation, right? We have a cocktail party for work. Oh, I got to lose 10 pounds this week. Fit into that little black dress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing as well that you can start doing. Definitely. But yeah.
This is great. So where does mindful eating play in all this? I love mindful eating. Can't talk about mindful eating enough. And I know you're a big advocate for mindful eating. So how does mindful eating kind of help bring all this together?
So I guess that it's one of those kind of facets of intuitive eating, which again is really helpful way of approaching nutrition if you're wanting to kind of work on your body image and move away from this, food is for weight loss, or food is a way of me controlling my body. And like a lot of the kind of concept that I use is I take a lot of the facets of kind of intuitive eating, so like unconditional permission to eat, like we spoke about last time, mindful eating, being in tune with kind of your hunger and fullness cues,
Yeah.
an inclusive approach to dieting, all of those things. But if my clients have come to me for fat loss, then we modify it slightly. But all of these
Mhm.
principles are still so important as well,
Mhm.
because eventually when you get to the place where you want to maintain your body composition and your weight, then we want to be following like an intuitive eating kind of pattern, right? And this is where kind of mindful eating comes in.
I
So
agree.
and mindful eating is literally that. So it's eating, and I think a lot of us
Mhm.
are eating quite mindlessly, or we're eating over the kitchen sink. And mindful eating is one thing
Right.
you can start kind of
Yeah.
practicing right away. And it might not be with every single meal, but
Yes.
it
Mhm.
might be helpful to start, okay, well, this evening I'm gonna eat my dinner distraction free. I'm going to slow my eating down. I'm going to tune in to my hunger and what my body's kind of telling me. So my hunger and my fullness cues. I'm just going to create a bit more awareness around this eating situation. And that can be a really helpful.
I agree.
Mhm.
That's one thing we do with all of our clients in our mindful eating program. For like our first meeting, it's okay, we're going to identify one meal for every day, or most days that we're going to choose to eat mindfully, and we want it to be the easiest meal of the day. So don't do it
Right.
when you've got a bunch of kids running around the house and things like that, if possible, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's uncomfortable at first. I love how you said eating over the kitchen sink, because that's a reality for so many people, right? Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's find somewhere to sit down, get rid of those distractions. But then it opens up a whole new can of worms, because we're asking everybody to not be distracted, or no longer scroll social media, because then they're
Eating
alone
in
in
the
their
car. That's a big
right.
one.
Yeah, eating in the car, all that. But then they're alone. They're alone in their thoughts, and that's not a pleasant place to be sometimes, especially if you don't know how to handle those things.
Mhm.
Yeah, completely. And that might help you bring awareness as well to perhaps why you tend to eat
Yeah.
when you're distracted, or what food is serving you in different moments. Because when you do
Mhm.
actually stop, or if there's resistance to it, it's getting curious about, I wonder why this is, because perhaps I'm eating in the evening to kind of avoid feeling something. And
Mhm.
perhaps
Mhm.
I'm eating to avoid loneliness or whatever. And actually, when we try and stop and eat distraction free, or eat slower, or pay attention to kind of what we're eating, it might bring up some resistance, and it's really good to kind of get curious with why that might be. But yeah, it is really supportive again of just that whole aspect that we're trying to move away from everything just being about your weight or your shape or your body, and
Mhm.
eating for like the whole point, eating intuitively, eating for other reasons, like how you want to feel your health. It's a weight neutral like intuitive eating is a weight neutral approach, right?
Right.
And so it allows you to kind of tune into those things and tune into your body, and just take a bit of a step back and think, well, how's this food actually making me feel as well? Like, how
Mhm.
do I feel eating this food? Because as well, we might just be eating food for the sake of eating food because we feel like we should be eating food, because again, there's all these rules, especially in
Or
menopause.
it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
who. Oh, that previous diet I did. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or
Intermittent fasting
you,
told me it's time to eat, but I'm not hungry. Or intermittent fasting told me to stop eating, but I'm
I
fucking
was gonna
starving.
say, yeah.
hmm hmm yeah. And it's really hard to do when you're also following a diet, because
Mhm.
it's contradictory.
You're no longer listening
Um,
to your body. You're
Right.
yeah,
telling your body to fuck off.
Yeah.
yeah.
Your
And
hunger cues. Be
Mhm.
damned.
I think people are scared to do these kind of practices as well, because they feel, again, it comes back to like that unconditional permission to eat. They're scared to let go of the rules and trust themselves and their body,
Yes.
because for so long they haven't trusted themselves and their body. They've put all of that trust, all of that autonomy into rigid rules, into meal plans, into being told exactly what to eat, and like prescription like that, or eating what that person's eating or that influencer is eating,
Mhm.
rather than, okay, what are your preferences? What do you
Right.
actually enjoy to eat? What makes your body feel good? Because that might be
Mhm.
different from one person to the next. What actually satiates you and fills
Yeah.
you up? Because again, hunger is completely individual. I might be like, my sort of hunger might be completely different to either of yours.
Mhm.
And we might have completely different hunger and kind of like appetite signals and perception when it comes to hunger. And so we cannot just follow around eating the same things as everybody else,
Right.
Yeah.
or eating according to rules. yes, we can have guidelines to follow, and
Right.
it's helpful to have structure in place, and it's helpful to kind of know the fundamentals of nutrition so that, we know how to kind of meet our energy needs and also meet our health requirements and support our goals, whatever.
Along those lines, I asked a question on Facebook probably a month or two ago, and the question was really simple. Do you trust yourself to eat without using MyFitnessPal? And the responses were incredibly surprising. Not many people trust themselves to eat without using an app.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
That's a lot of people that I
That's a
work.
diet. I don't care what that is a diet. If you do not know how to eat without logging your food and weighing your food, you have learned nothing. That you
Yeah,
have learned nothing.
that's
Hmm.
so true, Matt. It's
Hmm.
a tool, not a rule.
Yes,
Yeah.
it should be a tool to help you in your life to make your life easier. It shouldn't be the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the only way to create a deficit either. And I always say this to clients.
Correct.
I'm like, some of my clients track, and it's
Yep.
be aware that the tracking is not what's getting you to where your behaviors are. All of the things we're doing outside of that are what matter. And this is like why I say as well, like if we are tracking, we're making sure that we're doing all of the behavioral work and the mindset work. And you're also bringing in some of these practices like mindful eating and
Yep.
hunger and fullness awareness and things like this, so that you're not putting all of your reliance on that app, right? And all of that trust into that app. Because when you get to that space, you lose the weight and you're doing well for a while. And I have so many women messaging me telling me how terrified they are to stop tracking because
Yes.
they're just going all the way back because they haven't learned any of the skills or education around nutrition or behaviors, changing their behaviors to not just revert straight back to that place. And they are terrified. Like, what do I do here? And that's, yeah, there's an over reliance on it when at some point it becomes a diet and a
It
rule
does.
to kind of
Mm-hmm.
stick to, because there's been no behavior change and because there's been no support with skills and understanding your body cues and when to stop and when to notice when you're satisfied, and support with overeating and emotional eating and all of the things that come up. Because again, like, it's so easy to mask overeating, emotional eating, binge eating with MyFitnessPal, just like with any other diet, because again, it's just self-imposed restriction and
Mhm.
it's just masking those behaviors for a while, and then it all resurfaces again because we've not dealt with those behaviors. And yeah, so that's a really important thing to kind of remember. So you can track, but also can we bring some awareness to what you're eating and your hunger and fullness cues and practice mindful eating at the same time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let's say, and having a bit more flexibility with tracking as well, when you're starting to approach your upper target for the day, and this is why I use ranges quite a lot with clients, and you're tempted then to be like, oh, I've got 100 calories or 200 calories left. I'm just going to eat for the sake of it to fill that calorie thing. But actually, when you stop and check in with your body, you're not remotely hungry.
Right.
And so that is what I get people to kind of tune into as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yes.
can we bring some autonomy and awareness of your body's cues into this as well? Same thing goes for when people feel like they've screwed up, and this is why mindset is really important, by going over their target, but they honored their body because they were hungry and actually they realized that, and fine, maybe that's like from the choices that they made that day. And we can look back and go, well, maybe we could have made some tweaks here.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to this place where we're not honoring our hunger and we're not honoring our bodies and we're not respecting them because now we're scared to go over by having a protein yogurt before we go to bed so we can actually sleep because we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
wake up with a rumbling tummy at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And it's challenging those rules. Like MyFitnessPal is not a rule. I always tell my clients that you have unconditional permission to go over these calories at any point. And you also have unconditional permission to go under them. And this is where we're starting to bring in the skills of tuning into your body and building those skills and trust with yourself
Yeah.
as well, alongside the tool that is.
Also, I also see a lot of people trying to eat things they don't like just to hit macros.
Mm,
Like, why? You don't even like eating 8 Quest bars a day. What are you doing? Like, eat just fucking, what do you like? People don't even know what they like, or
Yeah.
try to get fiber. I've seen people put pounds of chia seeds on their toast just to get the fiber. I'm like, that can't taste good. What,
Mm-mm.
like, why are you doing that? Find fiber
Right.
filled foods that you actually like so you can
That's still
stick to
diet
them.
mentality right there. That's a diet. They're
Yeah,
still
it's
mentally
like,
restricting. They're mentally dieting still, even though they're trying
right,
to convince themselves that they're not.
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you
That's a
don't
great
have to
point,
eat
Beth.
shit food to hit your macronutrients. Eat foods you love. Find
Yeah.
people need to get curious. It's like they're afraid to actually get curious with their food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, completely. I mean, even what did I have last night? I was sat there and it was like a 25-gram yogurt and it was
Hmm.
passion fruit. And I was like, this tastes like clay. Like it
Hmm.
actually tastes like eating
Yeah.
clay. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, I don't even need 25 grams of protein right now. I was like, I'd be
Right.
happy with a 15 gram. It'd be nice.
That
And
you
maybe,
said that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Because
Yeah.
I've
I was like,
actually had that same revelation about Greek yogurt. I stopped buying the 000 Greek yogurt. I realized I didn't really like them.
mm,
Oh, interesting. I love the triple zero.
I'm eating the regular Greek yogurt that's got 12
Hmm.
grams of protein instead of 20. I like it a lot
Uh-huh.
fucking more.
mm-hmm. I didn't,
Wild.
a week,
Imagine, right? I refuse to eat food that I don't fucking like
Yeah.
just to hit a number.
Yeah.
It's like, no, let find something that I like because that's what I want. Look at this. That's like torture.
mm-hmm. Yeah, completely that. So I'm off to the shop after
And
this
it's unsustainable.
yeah, it is unsustainable. It is. Yeah, completely.
Hmm.
Because we get
I
to that
think
point where like, oh God, I don't want another protein yogurt. Like I couldn't bear it, but we feel like we have to.
Right.
And then that's when we start rebelling. And then we're like, I
Hmm.
just want the chocolate instead. And we start denying ourselves of these things. Like bring these into your diet now.
ooh,
Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
It's like
on
the
that
zero
note,
sugar Chobanis. It's like they
oh,
yeah, they suck.
I don't
They suck.
they fucking suck. Even though they're
I
like
had
whatever 60 calories or something, they taste
yeah.
like fucking it's just gross.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I've been on a outshine kick lately for
Oh
my
yeah, those bars. Yep.
those bars. They're
The
really good and they're low
frozen
calorie too.
ones. Hmm.
I bought the sugar-free version the other day of my favorite bar. That's the strawberry bar. So I love the
Probably not as
strawberry.
good.
I love the strawberry because they have the chunks of strawberry in them.
Yeah.
But the sugar-free, atrocious, terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It was 45 calories for the bar. The regular bar was like 80 or 90. You know, the sugar-free
Which is
version
not even
tasted
bad anyway.
right, exactly. But it literally tasted like, like the cough medicine we got as children, like
Oh,
chewed gum cough medicine. It tasted
yeah.
like that. I'm like, I am not eating this.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing. So I ate that,
Hmm.
and then I still had the regular version. So I ate more calories because of it, because I was
You weren't
trying.
satisfied.
I wasn't
That's
satisfied.
the key here. Okay, with my conversation about eating foods that you don't really like
Yes,
just to hit numbers,
that's what got me to that point.
you're not satisfied. So you're gonna continue to find something till you eat something that's satisfying to you because you know.
Had you just eaten the food you actually wanted in the first place, you would
Right.
have been satisfied and you would have consumed fewer calories. And if your goal was weight loss, that would make weight loss so much easier by
Yeah.
eating the foods you actually enjoy.
And with mindful eating, I think it's important to have a beautiful plate of food that's alluring to you that you can sit there and enjoy and taste. And, it should be an experience, not
Yeah.
shoving fucking
your
food in your
food.
mouth. Yes,
Date
in
your
the
fucking
car, like you're just shoveling yogurt and fucking Quest bars while you're driving. I mean, you're going to be unsatisfied. You're going to come home and you're going to eat again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I
Yep.
see this obsession with everything having to have protein in it as well.
Yeah.
Like the protein version. It has to be the protein version. It has to be the protein version. And it's like, stop kidding yourself that
Right.
protein chocolate mousse is better than the bloody
Right.
chocolate.
Yeah.
Like the
I agree
nice
with you. I've been
chocolate mousse
talking
is
more
Yeah.
about that lately. I'm getting tired of the high
Yeah.
protein and high fiber everything.
Mhm.
It's just old at this point. And I'll be honest, my protein consumption is down these last year or two, but nothing bad has happened to me.
Mhm.
I'm still eating decent amount of protein. It's just I'm not doing 2 protein shakes every day. I'm not
Right.
doing a protein bar every day. I'm eating 3 meals a day. Sometimes I'll have a shake and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because I came down to the lower end of like protein intake.
Oh, cool.
I think I was trying to go up to that 2.2 grams per kilo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this doesn't feel good. And it didn't feel good for
Mhm.
like my body either, which I struggle with digestion anyway because of endometriosis. And so I was like,
Mhm.
well, I'm just going to go down to the lower end.
Yeah.
You give
feel like-
ranges, right?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
I think-
rarity. It's a rarity that I eat bars and shakes anymore. I'm pretty sure that it used to be a regular in that when
Yeah.
I was learning.
Right.
Now it's like they're an emergency food for me.
I like that emergency food. Running around,
Yeah.
running between my
Yeah.
son's sporting events. I'll go grab a protein shake or bar from the gas station.
They're in my purse, and pretty much all of them are flattened because I'm sure Matt has had an emergency flattened protein bar of mine.
Yeah, you're always got them handy. The bear bells.
It's been in my purse for a while, but it's going to work. It's like my emergency protein bar. But that's about all I do for that. Yeah.
I like that. We should we could do an entire episode about undietizing. I don't know, because it's almost like healthy eating, of course, is a diet almost in a way too. So like, I don't know, just undietizing everything, right? Like breaking up with diet culture.
Well, I think that's more orthorexic.
Or yeah.
I think healthy eating. I think it's good to be a healthy eater, but
I agree.
It can go a different direction. Like you can be an orthorexic healthy eater.
Yes,
or you could just be someone that eats generally healthy for the most part, but still enjoys.
That's why I don't really like calling like labels, right? Too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have the me diet. You have the Matt diet.
Yeah.
Annie has the Annie diet.
Yeah, and that's why health is such a complicated kind of word in a way. Like there's so much more meaning to that, and healthy is another food label. Like it's another way of like categorizing food.
Yeah.
What's like a really helpful practice to start thinking about, like, what foods do I still kind of think of as off limits? What food haven't I kind of included for a while? Because I did this recently. Even I think I was walking with a friend and we were just talking about this. And she's like, can you think of any foods that like you demonized long ago, like became off limits ages ago, and you still haven't had it since? And I was like, yeah, do you know what? And I did, and I called on that, and I was like, I used to love that, but I convinced myself it was too processed. Like way back when I had an issue with my relationship with food. And since that day, I hadn't had it. And so I went out that evening and bought it. And that was such a fun experience. Challenging food rules can actually be like a really kind of a fun thing and like a methodical thing to kind of approach.
Agreed. That's great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Well, Annie, we just went through another hour together here.
I know.
Of our conversation.
It's so fun chatting with you.
It is.
Likewise, guys. I know. I feel like we could just do this.
I know.
Well, who knows? Maybe we keep it going. Everybody let us know. But I mean, these are great fucking conversations. I think we uncovered a lot of good stuff here today with you.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God. It's after 2. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so crazy.
For anybody listening, if you like what Annie's all about, go listen. If you haven't listened, listen to episode 136, because that's when she was on with us a few weeks ago. But for anybody that hasn't listened, Annie, how can people find you other than listening to your other episode with us?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I just search Annie Ellis, or my handle is at A Ellis Nutrition, but I think people get confused with that. Or find it in the show notes, because I'm sure you'll put it there. But that's where you'll find like all my resources on supporting relationship with food and body, as well as sustainable fat loss and menopause. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to part 1 that we did, 136, a few weeks ago, because that's a good kind of intro into what we're talking about today. And then, we should do some kind of like breaking down, like how to start breaking down and unlearning diet culture. I feel like that would be cool.
We can have a full series.
We can. I think we should go live when this episode comes out too, perhaps on the old Instagram or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could do it. Like
that'd be awesome.
Okay.
All right. We'll work it out then.
Okay. We'll keep you posted, Annie. Marvelous. And it was great chatting again, as always.
Likewise, guys. Pleasure.
We'll chat soon.
Chat soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode, so why not share with a friend who needs to hear it? Send us a DM on Instagram or email us at cutthecrappod@gmail.com and join our Patreon at patreon.com/cutthecrappodcast. As always, we appreciate you and thanks for being here.